Hello, welcome to the Oblivious Maximus podcast. I'm your host, Aaron. This is your other host,
Ben.
And we have with us Alan Liam from World of Joy.
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
Thanks for coming down, guys.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Thanks for being in Melbourne. Played one of the great weird metal / hardcore shows of recent memory last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, real strange one. Real strange one. I think we were just mentioning before, it was like Liam said, tell us you're at a metal show without telling us you're at a metal show.
Yeah.
Like people like taking their shirts off and stuff. Women in particular.
Yeah.
Rather strange.
Yeah, there was some like weird vibe. 'Cause I saw it was Gatecreeper headline show with Kruelty from Japan, you guys and Gutless.
Yep.
And very clear distinction, like split down the middle of the audience.
Yeah.
Leather versus Gore-Tex.
Both work quite well at repelling water.
Yeah.
And
Old
beers.
school, new school. Yeah. But it was like it seemed to like shake out by the end, I think. Like it was pretty good.
Yeah, I said to these guys before, I reckon after like the 5th time that I was bumped into by a person just trying to get past, I was like, you can say excuse me. Like
Yeah.
you can be polite.
There's a very critical lack of manners when it comes to people grabbing beers and trying to get past you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it equivalates to like how many beers they've had to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How rude they become.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like I get more nice as I drink more.
Yeah.
I'm like more cordial and
You want to have a good time. You want people to have a good time. That's good.
yeah.
And how like that is how many shows into the tour are you now?
I think that was
6,
7? 6, 7. I think we have 3 left. So we have Frankston, Adelaide, and then Perth. Yeah. So yeah, this is show 7 of 10. Yeah.
Sick.
How you feeling? Tight as hell or what? You played sick.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers. We couldn't really tell. We kind
Yeah,
of,
it's a tough mix on stage, but it was good. It's been good. Yeah. What do you think?
I think we've definitely gotten better as we've been going.
Yeah.
And now it's just like even little things like loading in and then setting up everything and then like your little routine after
Yeah.
a couple of days. It's
Have you played this many shows in a row before?
No.
we like the most I've only ever done like 3 or 4, like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then go home and then the next week do like a
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of type setup. I've never done just back to back. It's been cool.
Yeah.
Did that feel like a
Awesome.
bit of a step up for you guys to like kind of get on something like that?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a huge opportunity and definitely shows that there are levels to it. Like,
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I can play 4 shows in a row versus like it's show 6 and you've had 5 hours of sleep and it's only doing 8 hours.
And you slept on the concrete floor of a garage.
Yeah.
And you haven't showered in 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't miss that, I have to say. As much as I like miss the fun stuff of touring, like that part of it is the stuff where I'm like, yeah, I'm too old now at this point. Like I did that. I slept in a bathtub in Paris. Like I don't need to
Okay.
I don't need to do that again.
That's a step above us, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember years ago staying with this guy in Sydney, Dave Drayton. Do you remember
Yeah.
him at all? And just like we'd sleep in his basement. You just look over and there's a toilet down there. It's like I've never slept that close to a toilet before.
We had, when we did that, I just did that tour in Europe, it was like we, were on tour with 2 much bigger bands. And so they got like the good accom
Yep.
and we would just get like whatever. And we were like so thankful to get whatever and not have to pay for it. And there was like multiple times Jake became like I'm sleeping in the bathtub. Like if there's a bathtub, I'm sleeping in it because at least I can be by myself.
Yeah.
Like, and he was like, he'd just sleeping bag in the tub and just lay on the sleeping bag. That would be the best.
How do you get used to that curve?
Well,
Like,
that's what I couldn't do. Like I think I've also got a back problem, but so for me it was like flat floor, I'm sweet. Yeah. Like if it's got carpet, even better. But otherwise, I need to be like completely horizontal.
Parallel to the ground. Yeah. And look, to all credit, I haven't seen Jake in a very long time, but he was always a twisted motherfucker. So,
Yeah,
so him sleeping in a bathtub doesn't sound too far out of reach.
I would agree.
Yeah.
how did the Melbourne show rate against the other shows that you've been playing? Like, what's been the highlight so far?
I'd say Brisbane, like hometown, was
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
our favourite one so far. At least my favourite one.
Yeah.
And then this would be a close second.
Yeah, I did really rate last night. It was cool just to see like when we rocked up to the venue, we've never played there before, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty big.
Yeah.
And then by the time, like, even when Gutless started, there was a lot of people in there. But then, like, I think every time we always play in Melbourne, even in other bands, Melbourne people just love rolling out.
Yeah, they just love live music, and it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why, like, it's so easy being in bands here, honestly, because it's like there's so many venues and there's an appetite for it, and there can be clashes with shows that don't really detract too much from one another and things like that. But, you know, it's sick to hear that the Brisbane show was another good show, because I think for a while, you know, one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about was, like, for a while, Brisbane kind of was like really hit a dip.
Yeah, scooped out a little bit.
Yeah.
But
And I feel like now it's like right back.
it's like the city to be in, honestly. Like next to Melbourne, probably.
Yeah. The only show I played there recently was that Cold Day Fest thing last year. And it was like crazy. Like I couldn't believe how
many people were
packed
there?
it was. And that it sold out like in advance. And then on the day they're like, oh yeah, they're just letting more people in. And apparently the security guard was just pocketing $50 off people and just like, yeah, I don't care, just whatever, let him in.
What have you guys seen in the last like year or two that has kind of led to that? You just think more people starting bands and just kind of people wanting to kind of build the community a bit?
I definitely think so. Like, Al's part of like Burning Hammer, yeah. So just even seeing like those guys, I'll speak for him because he won't say it. But like those guys, the work that they're putting in, and then like they're kind of getting all these bands together, and then we're all putting in an effort, and then like even younger kids now are rocking up to shows that, like for a long time, like Brisbane doesn't have any AA shows anymore. So like we had no idea about if people that were under 18 care about music or hardcore or whatever. Like they'd probably all just want to be DJs. But like seeing it now, especially after COVID, it's like, I don't know. I think everyone just puts in effort, and everyone sees that everyone's putting in effort, and then they're like, "Hey, I want to be a part of that. That's cool."
Yeah.
And we're all like, "Yeah, fucking come down."
How was the show at the skate shop?
That was insane. Like
Yeah.
it was beyond like our wildest measure. Like it sold out within a day and a half.
Yeah, sick.
And there were still people like trying to come in, being like, "Yo, can we still get tickets?" Like we were.
And it was just Brisbane bands,
It
right?
was just Brisbane bands, yeah. It
Yeah.
was just all like a Burning Hammer showcase, really.
Yeah.
So we had Wet Work, us, Half Man, my other band, and Knuckle Dragger. Just 4 bands in a skate shop, and there was tons of kids there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which was awesome. Just like a whole bunch of different people, a whole bunch of walks of life from there, and just cool. Like just like a night of just us enjoying music, like in our city.
Yeah. It's I often ingest joke that I'm done with playing all ages shows, but that's purely because I'm a teacher and I have been playing this music for more than half of my life, and I look at it now as like, that's not for me anymore. As in like, I'm happy to play it, as in like I'm happy to be there, but like that space is not my space anymore, and this music is for younger people. Like it, you know, obviously as older people you can play it, it's fine. I will continue to do so forever. But it really is for younger people, so it's like it's hugely important that those things are able to happen. And it's crazy to think that when, you know, probably all of us started doing this stuff, that shit was all the time.
It was so readily available.
That was every show.
The only
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Oh yeah, I'll
was-
see the show on Saturday or
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon."
Yeah. It felt like there was a youth center show on like every second weekend. Like it's
Yeah.
not like a single time of the month where you're just like, "Oh, I'm not going to go to X youth center and be there." Like especially in Canberra, like I spent the majority of my time either at the Tuggeranong Youth Centre or the Woden Youth Centre.
Yeah.
And occasionally I go up to the north side and Belconnen
Yeah.
and like watch bands and just be like, cool. Some band from Tasmania is here and I don't care because I'll
Yeah.
just go there and mosh
And,
and then go home.
and try and break someone's head.
You're the first person in the relaunch of the podcast that I can talk to about Canberra stuff, because you're also from Canberra.
Yeah, correct.
Not that it hasn't come up every episode.
Yeah. But this is hugely important. This is hugely important.
Liam and I'll just go. You guys go.
It's very vital to my
Anyone bring
personality.
a Raiders scarf?
But Tuggeranong Youth Centre shows were like, that was kind of at its I suppose for me, where it got to like its peak, I suppose, of like, oh, like international bands were playing there for quite a while. Like, I'm probably told it on this, but I definitely had to go over to the Southern Cross Club to announce Scott Vogel's name over the Tuggeranong Southern Cross Club PA because they couldn't find him.
No way.
And he was like, we all got him in. Like, we signed him in on our membership thing to go. And he was just at the sports bar, like drinking a red wine.
That's so
And we had to be like, you know, someone from Tuggeranong Youth Centre was like, can Scott Vogel come to the front desk? And he like walked up to the desk with a wine and they're like, dude, you got to play. And he was like, oh shit, like necked the wine and went back over. But that venue was like, I mean, I was a little bit older at this point, but it was like crucial to
straight up.
so much of like even my success with I Exist and stuff was like tied to that.
I feel like I watched I Exist at the Tuggeranong Youth Centre as many times as I had hot meals.
Yeah,
It was Bar 32 for all the 18 plus shows for a very long time, up until the Jamison Inn stopped doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then the Tuggeranong Youth Centre were like my two holes that I spent all my time at, up until I turned 18, of course, but Bar 32.
Yeah.
We won't talk about sneaking in there.
Hey, you know, it was pretty easy.
You just walk in through the back. They just
That place was also very funny because it had a light up dance floor.
Yeah,
and
it was tiny.
Yeah, so small. Couldn't have been smaller.
fit 30 people at best. And it had like the church pews like moving backwards.
Yeah.
So you'd be watching bands standing up, being like, hey, if I fall, I'm breaking every bone in my body here.
Sam from I Exist and now revealing his identity in Bloodmouth, but he has a scar in his eyebrow and it's from someone headbutting him because he said he bet he could jump over the pizza thing that used to be out the front.
No way.
And so, you know, like a little pizza cart and probably about, you know, chest high. And he was like, I can jump over that. And the security guard was like, no, you can't. And you will not jump over it. And he was like, well, I definitely can. And he got into like an argument with the guy. And while he was having the argument, Murph ran back and jumped over it. And then everyone was like cheering that Murph jumped over it. And some other guy came up and headbutted Sam because he was just like mad about the interaction. And it was just one of those things I was like,
No one jumps around carts.
but it was so funny. Just like, yep, that's what Canberra is. That's what playing shows in Canberra is.
That is so civic coded. Like you can't like really quite explain it. It was like right around the corner from Moosehead. So probably some dude just like walked down. It's like, what's all this rabble about?
Yeah.
Let's headbutt someone.
The Chon capital of Canberra, Mooseheads.
Yeah, it just kind of, I wonder if we'll get back to that time because, you know, you guys are playing in Frankston tonight with Gatecreeper, which is like cool. I can't remember the last time an international band played Frankston, which was maybe Flipping the Bird the other week.
Yeah.
But like as part of a tour, it's like not really been a done thing on that level. Like I remember, back early days, it's like I remember that band Ruiner toured here, and it's like I felt like they were here for like 3 months. They're playing Seaford, you know, Youth Centre and like all these shows. And
It feels like I went to 6 of those shows within the ACT alone.
Yeah. Where can we get these guys playing next?
Yeah.
Well, I think famously as well, it was like, that was the other gag for a long time was that Wish for Wings tour that had like
48 days.
had like 17 Queensland shows.
We fucking love Wish for Wings. Right?
They're hugely important.
That was like, I don't know. It's just, but it is very good to see that, like, despite the fact that, I mean, maybe, you know, we're getting a Frankston show here or there or whatever, but like, I don't think Australia is yet ready for the 32 date regional tour as yet.
Unless you're in Hearts Wake, of course.
Yeah. But I think broadly, otherwise, it's still going to be kept pretty locked to like capital city things only. But there were a couple regional shows on this, like
we had Wollongong,
Newcastle,
Newey, Canberra.
Mm.
And then I don't know, would you class Frankston as the same level? Or the shows
it's like a suburban show,
good.
like kind of.
Well,
I
I
guess
think
they've really built a scene down there. Like,
and I think the thing is, it's a lot of people live down there. Like a lot of people move down there because it's like, it's way cheaper to like own houses down there for one, if you can do that. And certainly it'd be cheaper to rent down there than here. But then as well, people move down there because it's near the beach. So people like living down there. But I mean,
bit of a sea change.
yeah, you know, I wish. No, but I think like, yeah, the show that I played down there was packed. Like it was crazy. And then the guys that run it were like, yeah, basically every show's come close to sell out down there. And the venue that you guys will be playing tonight is like very well designed for what it is.
Okay.
Like it's a for purpose, metal hardcore venue.
Awesome. Cool.
I actually think it is sold out, isn't it?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it might have just sold out.
That's
So,
sick.
yeah.
Yeah, I spoke to a few people at the show last night that were like, yeah, I'm here tonight and I got work tomorrow and then I'm going to cut sick tomorrow because I live down that way.
But so this, obviously the other thing, timing out kind of right now, new songs coming out. How have you found the response to those so far?
It's been pretty good, right? Like I think it's been a pretty crazy response. We have the record coming out at the end of this month and then the release show coming straight after that. So it's just like really great timing.
Yeah.
Along with the run of these shows, it's sort of like really helped boost our visibility.
Yeah.
If you want to put it that way. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. Just like the way that everything sort of managed to work itself out has worked a lot in our favor, and hopefully people just dig it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing too is like, so was this did this tour just come up as part of having done everything else, or was it kind of you structured it around it?
It's a little bit of both. Lachlan spoke to us about this last year, and he just kind of floated the idea of doing the tour. Like he knew that he had Kruelty like in line because they were keen to come back to Australia, and he was just trying to find the right band to sort of put above them, or just have Kruelty and then maybe another band in there as well than us.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, cool. Well, we have like a bunch of songs, so we just write and record and then see where that kind of takes us. And then Gatecreeper signed on. We're just like, okay, we should probably get our shit together and finalize some stuff here. So yeah, it just kind of like really did just work out with the tour being in April and the release coming out in April at the same time too.
Yeah, sick. And where'd you record the record?
With our friend Liam Kriz in Tugan, just near
Tugan.
Yeah, Tugan. Just like towards the bottom of the Gold Coast. He's got like a little home studio. It's awesome.
Sick.
Yeah, we've recorded a bunch of stuff there. At least I've recorded a fair few bands there.
Yeah, he's done most of Southeast Queensland.
He's a go-to guy. I think him and Pip Brendan from Descent, Crossface, every other band. They're like the two go-to guys. So the guys did their last release with Pip, and then we thought we'd mix it up and try Chris.
Yeah, we did the first two with Pip, and they were good. And then we was like, we'll give Chris a go.
Yeah.
So it's worked out pretty good.
The approach different, like you guys going in like to record this one? Like, did you have anything you're like, we want it to sound like this, or we experienced this in the time of being a band, we want this release to kind of be a bit of a statement or something like that?
I think we kind of wanted to translate, like, I think we're a way better live band
Sure.
than we are, and we kind of wanted to, like, as much as we could, get that to be captured, and that's like probably the hardest thing to do. And
Yeah.
being in a heavy band, I would. But yeah, we kind of, that was mine anyway, and we kind of all had the similar sort of attitude.
Yeah, we spoke to, like, when we was chatting to AWOL about that was a similar thing they had, and I think it's just like an important thing for hardcore music is like so much of it is the live energy and experience, and translating that to recording is like the key to it.
Yeah, that's like always going to be if you can do that, then you're probably going to have a pretty decent release.
Yeah.
I think that was always the problem that I've had historically with stuff, is that like I never really was able to find someone who was able to like reflect how I wanted things to go live. I feel like I've gotten better at it over the last couple of years and the last few things I've done, but like I remember, like, not that our band was any good really in the grand scheme of things, but like playing in slow burn for a long time, like
No, slow burn. Right? Don't sell yourself short.
we never had a good recording, and it was because like it was before we'd done enough to know people well enough to know what recording was and how good it could be. But that band was like a live band, like purely people liked us because of Sam being silly and like how we played live. And I think like if that band had ever had a good recording, that band probably would have been like a better band, or done more,
I do think that was just a sort of cause of the time type of thing. Like people just kind of shit out demos and just like I have a band, let's just go record it on my MacBook.
Yeah,
and then just like
bedroom.
put it out. All bedroom styles. And it took like a very long time up until I did like my very first recorded band, which is just like a power dance band in Canberra, where I was like, we're not just gonna do it on an iPhone and then just, like, put it on Bandcamp. Like, I'm gonna put like even the tiniest bit of effort in. I think that's kind of been the ethos moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And technology has also come a long way. I mean, now, like, if I listen to, like, the demos I do at home for, like, Aglo songs sound better than all the slow burn releases that we paid for.
Yeah.
Like, and that is me plugging straight into my computer. But so, like, obviously you got the tour, then show coming up, the release show for the record and stuff. What's kind of like the vision with World of Joy? What's the, like, what's after that for you guys?
Why don't you let him know, Liam?
I'm going overseas for a while, actually.
This is the vision. Is it's over.
It was good while it lasted.
Yeah.
No, we're...
Oblivious Maximus exclusive.
World of Joy is dead. Thanks.
R.I.P. Yeah, I'm going overseas I'm going backpacking for a few months, and then I'm heading over to the UK.
Where are you going backpacking? This is exciting
Southeast
news.
Asia.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and then like around to India and stuff. So.
Yeah, dope.
And then through Europe as well.
I mean, really, as adults, to be fair, that's far more exciting than playing music.
Oh no, I think you should actually cancel that and stick around. Yeah.
It's like every day in the van, it's like, can't believe you're leaving, man. Like, thanks. Yeah, this isn't already conflicting.
What's the plan in the UK? Find yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to, me and my girlfriend and I, we kind of want to just go and like, there's no plan to like set up new careers or anything like that. We just want to be able to like go to Spain on a weekend and
Yeah.
like we're just making the most of like having the UK as a spot. And I've wanted to live there for a while and go to every West Ham game and
Yeah.
go on the gaff with the boys. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Giving it a fucking big one. But I think if there's the stuff that we've been talking, if that eventuates, then I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking flying back for that.
Yeah. But I mean, the other thing too is like, there's also no reason why you couldn't go there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We could all just go over and find Liam in wherever bumfuck place he's in.
Yeah, East London, bro.
Yeah, bumfuck place.
I mean, I think the other thing too is like, but doing that stuff often does like help band opportunity things as well. Like, I mean, I'd say half the stuff that I've done has come from just being friends with people from overseas, not like actually playing shows with them, like just hanging out with them.
Yeah.
And then many years later doing other stuff as a result of hanging out with person X in America or in Europe or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's like even locally as well. Like, you help each other out. Like, if someone's a good person, you're like, oh yeah, we'll help them out and do this. Or do that.
I mean, I think that's like part of the, you know, the ethos to continue to push as long as you can with stuff like hardcore or whatever, is that like, it's so much, I feel like you get so much more out of it when you're just contributing with one another rather than, you know, caring about so much whether you really like a band or not. Yeah. Like,
Well, and I think that I went overseas last year and first like trip post-COVID and stuff like that. And you sort of forget how, you know, hardcore or heavy music is a easy gateway into like middle of Paris, didn't know anyone, went to a show, ended up hanging out with these French punks all night. And that was just from getting pissed with these guys and, you know, watching Raw Brigade and stuff like that. And it just like, I wonder how people go not having that community to kind of like connect into.
yeah.
I feel like it makes it way harder.
It's a really strange concept because like even with Kruelty, like two of the members don't really speak English.
Yeah,
Marnie the drummer and Gen the fill-in guitarist. But like on night one, Gen was warming up with "Say Goodbye" by I'll Kill the Prom Queen. And we were just like, yeah, it's I Kill the Prom Queen. Like, you know, like it's so translatable. Like it just goes like so far beyond like any type of barrier that you'd have that you can just connect with anyone really.
Yeah, I mean, I think, my thing was I went to first like adult trip ever by myself, went to England when I was like 18, I guess. Got there, you know, this is well before internet on phones and things like that. And I went into a newsagent and just picked up like every metal magazine and just like flipped to the back to see what shows were on. Obviously did no planning, classic. But the next day, it was one of those, I can't remember what they're called, but like those tours that Hatebreed do, where it's just like Hatebreed and then like 5 other massive bands or something that they do like every year in Europe. And it was like Hatebreed, Sworn Enemy, Ringworm, someone else. And I was like, this is fucking mental.
Yeah,
like
that's a tour specifically for you.
yeah, exactly. Like night 1. And I went to this thing and I was just like, 18, so drunk, like couldn't have been more drunk. Just like so kind of out of my element. Couldn't believe I was overseas. Got the tube there, doing the London thing. And then was like standing there watching Sworn Enemy or something. And this dude comes up to me. He's like, yo, cool Mind Snare shirt. And I was like, oh, thanks. And it was Human Furnace from Ringworm. And then like he just talked to me about Mind Snare for like an hour. And I was like, this is the sickest thing in the world. This is what happens when you go overseas. You like immediately hang out with people that you've been listening to their records since you're a kid. But it was like, that's one of those things. It's like those experiences are then help inform like, well, after that point, I was like, well, also now I just love Ringworm heaps more because the guy is like the nicest dude ever. So I guess the other thing, being in lots of different bands from Brisbane at the minute, what do you think the vibe is in getting more stuff from down here up there? Is that like a plan that you guys are trying to do?
Yeah, 100%. I think to begin with, like when we first started doing the label, it was mainly just to help us. Like there was like a little bit of ideals and like controlling how we release our own music.
Yeah.
And then from there we were like, well, we'll start helping like the immediate community. So like younger bands, like we have band Struck Down, Scorn from Newcastle and Wet Work as well. It's like as we start to branch out. And now that we start putting on some shows, we go like, okay, well, it's successful here when we can bring up bands like Primitive Blast. They played last year and that was like a crazy show.
Yeah.
So like, why can't we just do that like once, twice, 3 times a year and try and get like younger bands to come up? So we've got Threshold to come up and play the Knuckle Dragger release show. So we'll just try and keep doing that. It's all about like spreading the word of the community around it and being like, well, we can do cool Brisbane shows with Brisbane bands. So like, why can't we bring younger bands or even bands that we truly respect all the way up to Brisbane and show them that like, Brisbane's a spot to be in.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, that Cold Day thing for Extortion playing, that was like, they obviously really wanted to go, and it was kind of one of those things where trying to figure out just like a show in a place sometimes can be like the most challenging thing in the world, just to get a weekend that already is not, some other band's doing something or whatever. And that came up and it was like, okay, great. And then I found out No Apologies were playing it, and I was like, all right, now I'm like very excited about it. And then obviously a lot of other good bands played it too. But the only time I'd only ever been to the Triffid once, and it was for like, I don't know, some massive metal thing. Maybe I saw I Hate God there or something. And I was like, kind of like, oh, that's a pretty big venue. Like that's a big swing. And then when the poster went up, I was like, oh, Extortion playing second last. I was like, oh boy. If people don't like Extortion anymore, this might be a real bust. But I think like the lineup itself had so much like, high caliber of bands playing that, it really made it very easy then when you were there. And then obviously as well, being organized by like Pip and people, from that community, everything was so smooth. Everyone was really respectful about everything. No one was like a prick about the show or anything. We got up and we were like, I think the show was running a little bit late because of, whatever, show shit, and 15 bands playing, of course, is going to run late. And, the Extortion set is very short. Lots of songs, but very short. And I was like, we're going to have to cut some stuff out, or we'll just play all of them, like no talking, just play really, really fast, which is what we did. And like, I kept looking over and being like, how much more time do we have? And like, the guys were just like, who cares? Like, just keep going. Like, everyone's having fun. And I was like, yes, I love that. But I think like, it's really cool when people get involved and invested in a way that means that, when it's people who doing the running of it as well, it's not like fucking venue people or whatever, then it becomes a far more enjoyable thing to participate in as well.
I feel, yeah, you also get a chance to connect with the fact that, like, hey, it's someone I see, like, either at shows or just, like, around the city to know that, like, they are invested in what the culture is about.
Yeah.
And not just, like, some faceless monster in the background demanding merch cuts and saying, yeah, you can book my venue for far too much money, and if it runs late, I'll just turn the power off.
Yeah.
It was like interesting to see like the Prince. I guess they're having more hardcore shows and metal shows there last night, but first band didn't have the padding around the barrier. And then after Gutless, they're like, we got to get that up. Like,
And it was really haphazardly thrown together.
yeah, a lot of duct tape. So it's like, it helps to have someone who
Lisa
knows.
when Homer
Yeah, the that post the Sharkman drain incident, I think they really should be improving the.
Helps to have someone who knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Like,
I did when you guys were playing, like the Seki who was like just like managing, I guess, like the going backstage bit, like halfway through your guys' set, I think he like clicked on to the fact that like people were moshing, and he was like, holy shit, and like, got his phone out and he was like, and I looked over and I could just see brothers on the stories. Like he's just like
selfie.
well, I don't know what if it was the mix of the crowd last night. A lot of people just going straight up to Instagram.
I
Just
don't
straight
know.
up, no editing.
I can't do that. I can't raw dog a story.
Sometimes it has to be organic. You just have to be like, this is the moment.
Yeah,
And, like,
I'm
it's
in the
what it's
moment
like.
with my phone.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, there was a person right in front of Ben and I who was like, I think when Kruelty were playing, this person was just like thumb on and just like hard zoom.
Yeah, just fucking really directing it out.
Yeah.
Fucking cinematography.
And I was just like, yeah, I think Ben just leaned over and was like, no edit. And I was like, that's crazy up there. Just
You know, there's all the tiny little dots. Like there's just 40 stories of almost the same song. Like it's just constantly happening in there.
But seeing that, just between that and that security guard being like, holy shit, that's a fucking bit. I was like, man, this venue's they're gonna need more than duct tape soon.
You can definitely tell when it's a security guard's like first like foray into like, heavy music. Like the ones who know just kind of stand there and they let like people stage dive, but the one who's never seen this before is like, they're hurting each other. Like,
Yeah.
understand. And you have like six people like trying to hold you back. It's like, no, I'm trying to stop the fighting.
Or he thinks that like we'll get upset that there's people stage diving.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
And like he'll go to grab them and stuff, and you're like, just chill out, dude. It's
it's
part of
fine.
the
Yeah, it's part of the whole thing.
It's like, I think the guy last night that was on the side, he was like blowing up and gonna kick out like our mate that was stage diving.
Oh, really?
I should have done it. Should have kicked him out. Yeah. Should have let him out.
So this release, how did you guys go writing it? Like who writes what? Who's doing lyrics? What was the vision kind of putting it together?
I guess we sort of knew that we were coming up to the point where we needed to write some music. So we just kind of brainstormed a little bit and we're like, hey, what's the kind of sound or the vibe that we're going for? So like a bit more aggressive, like what do we want more of? And then Pitt or Jake, dude who plays guitar, is like a demo god. So he just came up with like little structures, bits and pieces, and then he'd send that through to us. And then we'd either just like send full text messages being like, change this part, add this. Or in my case, I'd sit in the back of my car on my lunch break and then like mime like the parts into it. And like make this part like, that type of stuff. So like I could hear it back when I want to be like, oh, what did I say again? So like it's not just like words in there too. And then we just get into the studio and then jam out bits and pieces and then sort of find out like what works, what doesn't. It's a lot of like chop and changing stuff, but yeah, it all just came out like very organically, thankfully.
Yeah. But pretty much all of the releases that we've done a pretty natural sort of progression into, and then we're like, well, that's where that ended up. Cool.
Yeah.
The song's done. Next song, and then it's real.
Yeah.
And how have you gone like in like trying to be a front man? Like, has that been an evolution for you? Because like I would say you're a very relaxed guy, and on stage you've got like such a good fucking presence. Like you're really aggressive.
Yeah, I think it's nothing that I've ever been like, I need to do this.
Yeah.
I just sort of get up, and then like I think the way that the lyrics and stuff that I write about is, it's like easy for me to get angry about that sort of stuff, and it blows everyone away. Like even especially like work people and stuff. They're like, oh, I would have never guessed you were in a band. Do you make any money? I'm like, fuck off.
It sounds like Metallica. Yeah, that's what it
We're
sounds
basically
like.
like Australia's Metallica.
Yeah.
3 brown guys.
Yeah.
But no, it's never been anything that I've been like, try and do this and this. It's all just, that's how it makes me feel. So that, and it's like, for me, it's like a good way to let out all that sort of stuff that like builds up over years, I guess, of not dealing with shit.
Yeah.
And then that's like a way more positive way than perhaps when I was in high school and like you punch on with someone. But that's like a good way for me to
Being able to channel that frustration into this music.
into something that's a lot more positive than fighting people.
I mean, I would say like, not that I'm a front man of a band, but like being the singer and kind of being like in front of, in front of people in that way can be really confronting the first time that you do it. I don't know, like even for me, like playing an I Exist, like the first I Exist show at Tuggeranong Youth Centre was the first time
I was there.
Yeah, I was there. It was the first time I'd ever not played drums in a band. So like even just like standing in front of a drum kit to me was like, fuck me, I'm so scared, man. Like, but then as soon as I did it, I was like, oh, this is the best. I love
and
being
you're
up
like,
here.
oh, this is awesome. I should have done this ages ago.
The thing that I still have with singing, no idea what to do with my hands when I don't have a guitar.
It's like Talladega Nights.
It's really just. And I think the first Aglo show I played, I just sang at it, and I just did the classic like, give me a mic stand, I'll just hold the mic stand. First song, just like grab the mic stand, whole thing went short, and I was like, guess the mic stand's gone. Just had to put it behind me. I was like, all right. And then I noticed in all the photos, I'm just like pointing at people. So my mic style was literally just like, just yell Star Trek and point it at whoever it was. And I was like, I guess I'm really
You're
going
pointer.
for it.
Yeah, you're like a baby that learns how to point.
That's what I do with my hands. Just, I mean, I think the other thing too with World of Joy, it's like, while it's currently a part of like, quite a resurgence, I would say, in like, what the hardcore scene really, I think, went through a dip for a little while, but it's now like obviously well and truly thriving. I would say you guys are really, for me, like having the power violence elements and having the kind of, I guess more like straight up parts of it is real different to a lot of what's going on at the minute. How do you feel that's like settled in with everything?
I think it sort of makes us a bit different. Like we're almost like a lot of people describe it as being like weekend nachosy. And I think that kind of like really hits nail on the head. Like it's got like the real like caveman D-beat parts, but it's also just got like the blast beat parts that makes the punks spill beer. And you're like, yeah, that's kind of sick. It's like the perfect blend, I think. It's kind of like the band I always wanted to do but never started because I'm a ring-in at the end of the day. I'm just like, oh, cool. The guys did all the hard part for me, so I'll just jump in and kind of do this band. But yeah, like it's always just like I've always loved power violence and I've always just loved like side to side bits. Like the first show I ever played with was Shackles, and I was like, damn, this is the band I want to do. Shackles, give me Shackles. And getting to do stuff that kind of like in that realm really sort of helps. With that.
And is there like when you're writing the stuff, like saying, yelling into the phone, is there like direction with like, we got to have this pit bit here, we got to have this, I think, blast beat bit, or is it just like whatever comes out of it?
It's just kind of whatever comes out of it. When we are writing like in the studio, like we're playing through parts, I'll change bits and pieces to be like, maybe that's a blast beat part. Like maybe that's a part where like instead of just being like straight hi-hats, it'll be like real slow, grindy bit, or like real fast, like and that's the organic part where we're just like, okay, cool, that actually worked out. So
this feels a lot more natural, or to progress into this, or whatever. And that's generally.
It really feels to me, particularly to a show like last night. Like I love when, I think the lineup last night was like one of my favorite sort of lineups of show recently, because I love when a band like you guys is on a tour like that, because it fits exactly the ethos for me. Like that was the whole point with I Exist, was always like, be the weird band, like always be the weird band, because if you're the weird band, like might flop, and go like shit, or it might be the best show and you might be the one that everyone fucking remembers because you're the weird band.
Yeah, the true sore thumb on this run of shows. But it's really worked out. Like the people who want to see us, like really want to see us, and heaps of people just come up and been like, "Yo, that was fucking crazy." Man. You know, like they're just like a lot of metalheads have just never seen like hard moshing before.
It's super funny.
Yeah.
And they just like blows their mind. They're like, you were running around everywhere and
Man, you were fighting people. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, give me 2 t-shirts.
kiss on my tits.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that that's still happening.
Yeah, there was a bit of that weird, like, I guess, like, when Gatecreeper played, Chase the Singer, obviously, like, hot cunt. Some gal just yelling out, "I'll suck your dick."
Yep.
Multiple
She was
times.
the one getting the puppies out. She was the same one. Yeah.
Yeah, wild style with the metal show. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, as I said before we're recording, like, having, like, grown up in that and then sort of, like, leaving it kind of intentionally because it was, like, you know, I started playing the shows in, like, death metal bands when I was, like, 13, 14. And by the time I was, like, 17, I was like, man, people at these hardcore shows are so much nicer. And, like, people are not screaming at me all the time. And I haven't seen anyone do heroin at a hardcore show like I have at metal shows. But, again, like, coming from it and loving it so much, I want to be there and I want to be a part of it. And again, that was like obviously why I'd say like all of my bands have been like metal leaning is because I'm trying to get there while also still remaining in the hardcore scene. But I guess like power violence and stuff like that is a palatable crossover because of blast beats and because of like heavy riffs and stuff. But would you like to be doing more metal shit now that you've done a bit of it?
It's a weird space to be in, honestly. I think Gatecreeper are like the perfect example of like you can play both sides. Whereas I feel like if you were just like a hardcore band that ended up playing lots of metal fests, you'd be very upset about it after some time because they just kind of don't get it. And like that's not like a derogatory thing. They just don't quite understand like what hardcore is about. Like they like patch jackets and that stuff, and we're like, can you guys fight each other? Like listen to how hard this bit is. Can you just like punch someone? Like don't just stand there. Like
I do find that that it's been this like funny thing recently where like you know, metal bands have really started going over in hardcore crowds though. Like obviously it's like massive in the States at the minute with like lots of death metal bands playing hardcore fests and lots of the more like metal leaning hardcore bands going over so well in that realm. But even just seeing like seeing the response to like Kruelty bits that are just straight up breakdowns. And like metalheads like frothing it so hard, but just not understanding what it is. Like, and I mean, I think for me when I was a kid, that was like obviously I'm obsessed with Crowbar, have been since I was a kid, and like trying to explain to like my friends who are metal guys who love Crowbar, like this is a hardcore band. Like that is what this is. And if you ask Crowbar, they would probably say, yes, this is like a Cro-Mags bit or this is a this bit or whatever. But they just like have no concept that that could possibly be true. or like reasonable at all.
It's the same as like when you listen to like old Metallica, like For Whom the Bell Tolls has a straight up breakdown in it. And like people just don't quite understand. Be like, yo, that's a part you'd probably pit to. And like, no, like it's a part you just like bang your head a little bit, maybe spill some of your beer.
Mental Cavity are playing a show in a couple of weeks with Suffocation, which is like the craziest thing in the world. And like two guys that I went to school with who I have literally not seen since I went to school, both DM'd me and were like, brother, I'm there. I was like, you're going to hate Mental Cavity, but see how we go. All right. Well, I think that's a pretty good spot to wrap her up. Me talking about Mental Cavity.
Yeah. Let's do it.
What do you want to plug anything? Plug the record? Plug the label?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you go now?
Yeah, sure. Shout out Burning Hammer Records. That's really it. We've got the record World of Joy's Life is Pain 7-inch out on Burning Hammer Records and also Life Lair Regret Records. Pre-orders are still up at the moment, so you can grab those up until the 4th of May, I believe. And then, release show on the 10th of May. We've got Suck, Chrome Cage from South Australia, Glitter Strip, my band, that will probably never play another show again after this one.
Last show for Glitter Strip, get down there.
How many bands are you in at the moment?
I
At
think
least
it's 4.
35.
I'll be conservative and say 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
with maybe 7 being brainstormed at any given time.
Got to keep busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liam's gone and you got 7 other bands.
Until Liam comes back, yes,
Yeah.
of course. And yeah, Struck Down playing that show as well, so that should be really fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Young kids.
You got anything to plug, Ben?
Every week, Catfish Comedy, come down to that. I think Comedy Fest will almost be done by the time this comes out. But yeah, come down. We're on all year, Tuesday nights. That's pretty sick. And I'll be in Sydney soon doing some shows at the Comedy Store end of May. So come through. That's about it. Yeah.
Dope. Well, for the 8th time, I think, is how many podcasts we've done now. Buy tickets to the Extortion record launch.
Yeah.
Our visas got approved today to go to America, so we're going. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Up on the health. Oh, what is it? The Maryland.
Maryland Death Fest.
I've noticed that they've been putting off visa approved.
Yeah. Which is, hopefully ours goes up then. Might give me a socials bump if I get visa approved. Give me that tag.
Yeah.
At Maryland Death Fest. And then Aglo doing stuff too. So look at Aglo on the internet. But thank you very much for coming, guys.
No worries. Thanks for having us.
Brutal.
Bye.